Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. And I tell you what, it's a fantastic feeling to be starting the week with a little bit of positivity. Lots to talk about. Solskjaer 3-year deal, ? Haaland transfer race with Manchester City, injury updates, what this means for Manchester United season. Is it progress? Solskjaer talking last night that this is now the best Manchester United side that he has managed. We're better than where we were a year ago. So we'll get into that as well. And lots of other things. And also the mass overreaction this morning that suddenly a team that everyone was slating three days ago, now we're getting what a defender he is, what a midfielder that is. And I just find that really funny because this is what holds us back ultimately. Nobody knows in our fan base. Well, no, a lot of people do, but there are fans within our fan base who just do not know which way their head is screwed on. 3 days ago, it sacked the manager. This player's not good enough. That player's not good enough. Today, they're waking up and going, "Oh, that player's definitely worth that money. This player's this. Oh, yeah, we need to look at why the difference is between Crystal Palace and Manchester City." And they're not even a week apart. They're a few days apart. And one of them's an absolutely dreadful performance and one of them's a good performance. So why is that happening? You can't wake up this morning and go, "We're on the road to winning a title." You're a fool if you think that. I mean, we can beat anybody on our day, but we can lose to anybody on our day. And of course, we didn't lose to Crystal Palace, but you've got to open up your eyes. What I would start off with, if I was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this morning, I'd be banging on Ed Woodward's office. He's probably not there. He's probably lying in or something. But I would be in there, and this is where I'd be pushing my point. I wouldn't be going in there, sitting up, having a fine cup of coffee and high-fiving each other, which maybe they are. I'd actually be set. This is from a position of strength is where you actually go and improve. And I would be saying, I need this centre-back, I need this centre defence midfielder, I need this right winger, and we can consistently do that yesterday. Calm down, Ollie. Calm down. You're getting ahead of yourself. What you did yesterday, if you can do that every year and get us top 4, that's all we want. And Ollie's that, "No, I want to win titles." No, you're getting ahead of yourself. That's not what these owners want to do. As long as you're comfortably in the top 4, everybody's happy. The fans are going mad. They're going mad at me and Karaki. They're going mad. No, I've got to get the top. That's not what this club's all about. You just sit down. What you did yesterday, that's what we want. And look, to be honest with you, I think that's what the board does want. But I don't think it's what Ollie wants. It's not what we want. And it's not what Manchester United should be. But if I was Ollie, I would be demanding more. But Parish says, "I hear Ollie out from you more than any other." Bye, Parish. Off you go, you little troll. Actually, I haven't said that in over a year, and I've said stick by him till May, so I do not know what you are talking about, you troll. I wonder if that penalty helped them settle down much faster, so we're playing comfortably. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit, Neil. What do you think about fans saying that Dean Henderson should be our number 1 goalkeeper for throwing to Shaw and acting like Dave couldn't? It's a joke, says Braden. I don't really want to talk about that because I thought Dean Henderson played well yesterday, but I did see the same Manchester Evening News journalist. I think we all know who he is now. He gave Dean Henderson an 8 out of 10 yesterday for throwing the ball to Luke Shaw. Dean Henderson did well yesterday, but he wasn't tested. I think that was, he had one shot at him from Zinchenko. He caught the ball a couple of times and he did a good throw out. And suddenly he's getting the same score as Luke Shaw. No, he played well yesterday and we need him to play well. And I'm very happy that he's playing in goal for us at the moment. But I'm not getting drawn into this De Gea Henderson thing. I mean, Graham Souness was talking about it yesterday. It says everything when Graham Souness is backing an English player because that's all he never seems to have a nice word to say about the foreign players. I don't know why that is. Ask Graham Souness. We have become the Liverpool of the past 20 years. We can win against City or Liverpool and lose to Sheffield the next week. Our players are good enough for top 4, but our squad won't win a title, says DK. And if you had one player to buy, Haaland or Sancho, who would you buy, says Rahul. Well, we're going to talk about Haaland in a little bit, Rahul, but to me it would be Sancho. I think, look, let's keep the positivity up. That's a fantastic result yesterday. I loved what Pep Guardiola said. Let's talk what Pep said first. Pep Guardiola said that we couldn't live with Manchester United's press and speed of movement on the ball, on the attack. Now that's really interesting because I think in the game Manchester City had way more possession than us. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say the first, and we were talking about this yesterday on the watch along. First 15 minutes we were brilliant. Half an hour to half time we weren't. Second half, we did another 15 minutes, and then half an hour when the game was won, we didn't. So we did it. We won the game in 15-minute spurts. First 15 minutes we scored of both halves, we got the game won. And it worked really, really well. And then for an hour, half an hour first half, half an hour second half, we just sat back and soaked up pressure. And Man City could have scored a goal or two, to be fair, but they didn't deserve to win it. Didn't deserve to win the game. And Pep Guardiola, he was very complimentary of that. And I think for a third of that game, because you can't do it for 90 minutes. We can't do what we did for the first 15 minutes of both halves for 90 minutes. You just can't do that. That level of pressing, that level of speed, you can't do it. So that's encouraging. And look, Pep said, look, we've lost. We go to the next game. That's what we do. And Man City just want to move on. And I think that's the mentality we need to have. But we also need to look at that result and go, wow, that was really impressive. And everybody involved in that result does deserve praise. They do. And that is a positive to start the week. I also agree that you've got to look at other issues in relation to why there is a contrast between Palace and Man City. Why can these players not be trusted? Look, they totally deserve all their social media posts, all their praise this morning. They totally deserve it. And I wish that they would take that praise and say, I want to feel that every single game. But they don't. They'll put a Palace result in. They'll put a Sheffield United result in. They've been doing this for years. I'm not surprised. I said yesterday before the game, and I predicted it in the preview, when Ollie's back's against the wall, we get a result. And I said, I was one of the few who said, I don't think we're going to lose this game. I didn't think we'd win. I thought the draw was the limit, but I didn't think we were going to lose it because I've seen this before, and I kept saying this. People saying we're going to get beat. We've beaten Pep twice last season. We've now beaten him again this year. We've beaten Chelsea twice last year. We've drawn to Chelsea twice this year. We are capable in the big game of getting the result. This is not the problem with this team. The problem with this team is the quality and consistency that always drags us back. Our results against the top six are pretty good. Even this season, apart from the Arsenal loss and the Spurs thrashing, we've not been beaten by them. It'd be better if we'd beaten a few more of them. But there is definitely not a problem with us in the big games. It's just the quality over a season, and that's the issue. Hi Mark, it's my birthday. Donny van der Beek, Telles, Ahmad, Bruno, Agallo, Cavani. Our recent transfer poly has been outside top 5 leagues. Plus freeze won't change, says Daniel Lugo. And let's pause for a moment and praise poor Rashford for his 60-yard sprint that resulted in his injury. That's commitment, says Simpson. Congratulations on winning the We Beat Man City trophy, the only one that you will win, says Matthew Emerson. Yeah, we're still in 2 trophies, Matthew. 2. We're still in 2 trophies, so it's not the only trophy we're going to win. We have got chances of winning 2 trophies. Quality win. Preston playing higher up the pitch makes a huge difference. Why don't we do it every week, says Scott Power. We're going to discuss that as well. The first thing I want to talk about, I've got to blast through this whilst also interacting with you, of course, because you've got a lot to say yourselves. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said that we're definitely a better team than we were 12 to 16 months ago. I think he's crossing the line there. I think we are a better team now than we were 16 months ago, because 16 months ago was before Christmas. 2 Christmases ago, we didn't have Bruno. We are definitely better now than we are then because we had Bruno. But 12 months ago, we're not better than we were 12 months ago. I don't agree with that. We are better than we are 12 months ago. We've got more points than we had 12 months ago, but we're not a better team than 12 months ago. 12 months ago, Bruno had been here over a month and everybody was like, wow. Matic and Fred were getting loads of plaudits in the midfield too. That Matic was actually brilliant this time last year and Fred was getting a lot of praise as well. Rashford, Greenwood and Martial were on fire. I think Maguire and Lindelof were playing better. Wan-Bissaka was playing better. The only player I would say who's better now than he was 12 months ago is Luke Shaw, who is just on a different planet. He's unbelievable. So I don't think we have got a better team than we had 12 months ago, funnily enough, because I remember that team from 12 months ago and it was doing pretty well in March last year. But what I think Ollie's saying is, I think he's talking about before Bruno came in. I think he's probably lost, like everybody else is, with what was a year ago. A year ago was March, just before lockdown, and we were actually playing, we actually were quite a decent team. And I certainly think the team that came back from lockdown with Pogba, Matic and Bruno and Rashford, Greenwood and Martial as a front 3 is better than this team that we've got at the moment. But I think what Ollie is trying to do, and quite rightly, and I'll be positive about it, he's trying to put focus onto this team and say that we are making progress, that the mentality is good. But the big thing for me is you've got to look at, is that team yesterday the team that's going to win as a title? No, not in a chance. Dan James on the right wing, you've got to bring in a top. It's nothing against Dan James, by the way. I'm not not saying these players played badly yesterday. I'm just being ruthless United. I'm saying, how does that team win a title? And I look at Man City, who are going to win a title, and I look at Manchester City's bench. They've got Bernardo Silva, they've got Phil Foden, they've got Sergio Aguero, they've got Laporte on their bloody bench. Like, that's the quality, and Torres, and they've got others. Fernandinho, their bench is better than our starting lineup. So I can't sit here and say, because the big question this morning is, we beat Man City again. How if we can beat Man City and deserve to beat Man City, how do we win a title? Well, in my opinion, the honest answer is they're staring us in the face. Look at Man City's bench and look at their starting lineup. Look at our starting lineup. Dan James, Scott McTominay, Fred, that centre-back pairing, they can produce a result and beat anybody, but can they do it over 38 games? No, because, and I need a better statement than this, but I'm going to use you can't polish a turd. And I've said this a few times in the last week. If Pep Guardiola could turn Mark Noble into Rodri, he'd do it, and he wouldn't spend the money on Rodri. If Pep Guardiola could turn Marcus Albrighton into Raheem Sterling, he'd do it, because it's cheaper. The problem is, you can't do that. You can coach players, you can make better players better coached players, but you can't make average players into the best players in the league. And that is where Manchester United will fail compared to Manchester City, and to a certain extent Liverpool and Chelsea when they get better, is you can't make good players great players. We've got some good players that need to become great players that won't become great players. It's like McTominay. I feel at the club they think they can turn him into Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick was a great player. He was better than Rodri, and Rodri's a very good player for Man City. I don't think people appreciate how good Michael Carrick was. You can't just say, well, he's tall, let's get Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick in, and they'll coach him to be a hybrid of that. That totally takes away talent. You've got to have that talent to do that. United can't mould players that aren't good enough into world-class players. You've got to bring those players in. So we need a top-class centre-back, we need a top-class centre-back, and we need a top-class right-winger. We can't turn Dan James, Fred, McTominay, Matic, Maguire and Lindelof into those players that Man City have got, and actually have got on their bench as well. So that's the difference between Manchester United and Man City. On the day, we can beat them, but over 38 games, the quality they've got within that team will take them where they are. We can't close that gap until we bring those players in. And I think that's the contrast for me between Wednesday against Palace and yesterday against City. On any given day, with the right motivation and focus, we can beat Manchester City. But on any given day, we can go and play Crystal Palace and not beat them, because Crystal Palace will look at us and they'll go, some of them players, they ain't that good. If we're up for it and we're Palace did to us what we did to City, basically. Palace will look at us and go, we can get a result out of them. And we looked at City and say, we can get a result out of them. And also the big difference between Palace and Manchester City games, and I'm sure most of you will know this straight away, is Man City are going to play more on the front foot and they're going to leave more space. Crystal Palace are going to play deeper and leave less space, and therefore we can't just run quickly at City's defence and create a penalty or get a shot on the box, because they're going to have two banks of four. And Ollie's always on about this: the different games, different ways of playing. We with McFred in front of our back four will stop City, but with McFred in front of our back four against Palace, we're going to struggle to create the chances to break them down, and that is the problem as well. If United haven't dropped silly points, we'd have a chance to win the Premier League. Inconsistent performance will cost us that. I hope after yesterday's result, Ollie goes on a run. Rona, I'll say what I've said before. I personally think that, and I don't know what everybody thinks, but I personally think that talking about Manchester United blowing the chance to win the title is totally unfair. We are not. You can't talk about the quality that Man City have got, the quality they've got on the bench. You can't then look at our starting 11 and say what I've just said about the centre-backs, the CDM pivot and the right-wing position and say, well, if we hadn't dropped silly points. The reason we drop silly points is because we haven't got that quality. That's what I was just saying a couple of minutes ago. The reason we drop points to Sheffield United and West Brom and all those teams is because they look at us and go, they're not actually as good as City. We can get something out of them. And then we go and prove that. We don't, against Crystal Palace, did we... The sad thing about Crystal Palace game is, did we lay siege to their goal? No. we couldn't get near their goal because they found it very easy to shield their back four and stop us getting near the goal. So we've dropped silly points because we're not good enough to beat those teams. We're not winning this title because we bottled it or any other reason. And actually, as I said last week, a lot of the wins we've had this season have been by the odd goal. So we are. I think this is a good. I think where we are, and the result yesterday is sort of epitomises that. Where we are is an amazing achievement for the lack of backing Solskjaer got in the summer and the squad that he's working with. Because we went into that game yesterday and some people were like, oh, we've got an injury crisis. We haven't. We're missing Paul Pogba. That's it. Cavani wasn't missed yesterday. Mata and Van der Beek don't get used. So we're missing one player. And we're like, oh, we're in an injury crisis. We're not. We just haven't got enough creativity in the midfield. Amazing result last night. A draw for Chelsea versus Everton would top the weekend off. Yeah, I mean, look, the results went our way as well. They really, really did. I mean, just a little bit of an injury update as well. Marcus Rashford is going to have a scan today. I mean, that is some. But you know what? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said as well. Luke Shaw was a major doubt yesterday morning. Martial, 2 hours before the game, he didn't know whether he was going to play. And those two went on to have. You know, those two for me were the two contenders for man of the match, Shaw and Martial. Who can I just say as well? I've got to say this. What is the problem with these United fans who still cannot give Luke Shaw any credit? They're like, no, he's overhyped. He's still positionally not that good. He's the best left back in the country. Like, he's the best left back in the Premier League at the moment on form. Like, you can talk about Robertson being a better left back, and maybe he is, but on form, he's the best left back in the league, and therefore he's going to be one of the best left backs in Europe. And this is consistent. This has been for months. So these fans of ours that just can't move past the stubbornness that they were calling him shit and useless a year ago, they cannot accept that he's a good player. Well, he's not just a good player, lads and ladies. He's the best left back in the country at the moment. In the league. Not English. In the league. He's the best left back in the league. And therefore he's one of the best left backs in the world at the moment. Put some respect on Luke Shaw's name. This is not a little run of games. This is consistency. And I just don't get it. I do not get how some people cannot move past their stubbornness about players who play for their own club who are playing absolutely superb. Look, myself, I've been very critical of Harry Maguire this season. He was brilliant yesterday. He played really, really well. I'm not going to suddenly say that Harry Maguire is now an £80 million centre-back and, he's dominant and he's world-class. I mean, at the end of the day, he's protected. I wouldn't say he's like a rhino. He's not a protected species, but he is protected. And this is what I mean. I think that I'm very happy this morning. We're all very positive and I'm excited about the games to come. But one of the big problems is we can't be Arsenal. We can't be Arsenal because look what happens to Arsenal. You hype up a good result and then there's a bad result right round the corner. You hype up a player because they've had a good game or a good couple of games and they let you down. Consistency is the problem that destroys Manchester United over the last 8 years. If we suddenly start saying, oh, you know what, I've been wrong about Maguire and Lindelof, they're good enough, you're a fool. They're still a nightmare centre-back pairing. They are protected by two full-backs who tuck in and help them out and two CDMs who stay deep and protect them. They're protected. And ultimately, Jesus is shit as well. I mean, they're up against a shit forward yesterday. So they played really well and they deserve the credit, but we must just take every Man United game a game at a time. It's something Solskjaer says. It's something Bruno said. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We must take every result as a time and hope that consistency builds. But what we know about United over the last 8 years, and that's not about individual players we've got now or even the manager, this is a problem of the club. We can beat anybody on our day, but we can also lose to anybody. So let's not get carried away with individual performances. Oh, I was wrong about them. You were probably right about them because they've been shit a lot longer than they've been good. But let's hope that they can stay good for longer and we can build something out. Because we still need a top-class centre-back. And God, we need to do something with that midfield pivot because it is Newcastle standard. Like, it's not that good. You could have stuck the Longstaff brothers in front of Maguire and Lindelof yesterday. I don't think they'd have done a worse job because what McTominay and Fred did really well was their tenacity and their physicality and their work rate. That's not Manchester United football, though, is it? We need that as a standard and people who can pass between the lines. that is a desperate area that I hope the club are looking at, and of course the right wing situation as well. So yeah, I mean, look, very, very happy, and I haven't even spoken about. So this is the thing. This is the thing when there's so much to talk about. DK says our strength is counter-attacking, works against teams who come at us, but most of the teams in the league have a deep line. We need to play higher up. That's a title-winning team, a centre back, a CDM, and a right winger. Exactly, DK. You know, if you want to beat Man City, we've got the team to do it yesterday. If you want to beat Crystal Palace, top quality centre-back, pushes higher up the pitch, top quality CDM, takes the ball off the back four and plays the ball forward quicker through the lines, right winger who creates. And then you start to beat Crystal Palace and everybody else. And that's what we need to do. If the referee in the match against Sheffield United had got the goals right and the referee in the match against West Brom had got the decisions right, we would be only 3 points behind Man City, says Tom Best. Tom, but if Eric Bailly hadn't made that block against Aston Villa, if we hadn't scored in stoppage time against Southampton, we've won a lot of games by a goal as well. So, you know, for every 3 points you've got back there, those teams we beat by 1 goal could say if this and that, you know. So I think where we are is brilliant. I think we've overachieved this season. I don't think we need to start trying to pretend that we should be anywhere else. I think where we are is really good. I actually think we've overachieved. I said at the start of the season, if we get top 4, Ollie's worked a miracle, really. So to be second in the league, and I think we've got a firm hand on top 4 now as well, whereas it was slipping away. So I'm not happy with where we are as a Man United fan because I want to win titles, but in the context of the season, I think we've overachieved where we are. I'm not going to start saying we should be in a title race because I think you're pushing your luck a little bit there. I think we've had a bit of luck in some of the games that we've won. We've been unlucky in some of the games, you're right, but I don't think we should be asking for more. Well, we should be asking for more in general from the board, but I think what Ollie's done this season has been good. Hey Mark, do you think a change of formation in games against solid defence will help us? Says Emil Jensen, like 3-4-1-2 and get more crosses into the box, but we haven't got people to put crosses in the box. Is it true Interstillo 43 million? I'm not even talking about this, Scott Power. It's such a boring story that seems to be dragging on, and some of our fans seem to be obsessed about Inter owing his money like it's like your money. I just think it's such a non-story. So what? They'll pay it. They'll find a way of paying it, and they ain't going to give us Martinez. We should get a new manager next season and keep Ollie as backup manager. Ollie only bring him up for 1 match a season. City away, says Julian S. Well, look, I spoke about this on Friday. And it is the title of the show, Solskjaer 3-year deal. I haven't even got into this. So I spoke about this on Friday when people were talking about Ollie out. And I said, the thing is, when Pochettino wasn't in a job, there was a real feeling that that option was always there if Ollie got things wrong to bring Pochettino in. I said it on Friday that from people I've spoken to, there is no plan for Manchester United to bring any other manager in. Well, I was told that again on Saturday night, that Manchester United have got no plans in place to bring another manager in. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't do it if everything fell apart, but they're not doing it. They're not in conversations. They've got nobody lined up. There's not like with Van Gaal for 4 months, we were talking to Mourinho. It's not like Pochettino for the last year before he went to PSG, these talks with Pochettino. There is nothing going on. There is nothing in the pipework. There is no plan to bring a manager in if things go shit, because they're not expecting that and they are behind Solskjaer. So anybody who's thinking, well, you know, maybe we still might not get top 4 and we bring a new manager in, this is not in the plan. Man United have got nothing in place. The only thing that's in place with Manchester United is discussions around what they're going to do this summer around transfers, and even those aren't pinned down yet. So this Solskjaer thing, the only thing that's being discussed around Solskjaer is his future. And this is Solskjaer 3-year deal. That's the rumour that's floating around, is that the contract he's going to get, and it should be at the end of the season. I don't think they will do it early, because I think that would be wrong to do it early, because they did it early when they gave him the deal before and we fell apart. At the end of the season, there will be a 3-year deal for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Of course, he's got 1 year left on, and another 3-year deal will be given. I don't think it will be 3 with 4, so 3 with 1. I think it'll be 3-year deal. That's the rumour that's out there. And ultimately, I don't really want to talk about it because I think it will just cause controversy, but I think that's the right deal, isn't it? 3-year deal is probably about right, because 2-year deal, you know, I think as a manager you're like, well, that's not much, because it means next summer I'm, you know, with 1 year left, I'm going to be thinking what's happening. A 3-year deal gives him a couple of years really because a 3-year deal is a 2-year deal, because you were always going to get a new deal before your last year, if that makes sense. Because Ollie's still got a year left on his contract, but really it's up in the summer because you can't go into the last year of your contract. So I think that's coming. A 3-year deal for Solskjaer. On player ratings, Henderson got 8 and 8.5 on MUFCB account. It says United still pining for Koundé, need top signings for progress to continue. Look, give Dean Henderson some praise. Like, people seem to think I don't like players in our club, and I'd love to know who these players actually are, because all I ever am is honest about players. Like, I think any player apparently I don't like, I gave them a good score yesterday, and I have done consistently when they've played well. Dean Henderson played well yesterday, but I don't think he was tested at all. He had a couple of shots you'd expect him to make straight at him, and he threw it out to Luke Shaw. He was steady, he was assured, but I wouldn't give him any better than a 7, because that's just, to me, I think if you've given him an 8, you're just the prats who've been on scapegoating De Gea for the last few weeks. I get it. Some people want Dean Henderson to be our number 1 goalkeeper. It's going to be very interesting, because when David comes back, one of them's, I think they might change. I think Henderson might become the Premier League goalkeeper, and Dean Henderson and De Gea becomes the cup goalkeeper. Because Ollie's got to be consistent. He can't just stick with one goalkeeper now, because he's shared it out all season. And then in the summer, you make a decision. So to me, I'm really relaxed about this. I couldn't give a shit about Henderson or De Gea conversation, because when David De Gea comes back, he was man of the match against Chelsea. So he will come back in. He might not be the Premier League goalkeeper. He might be the cup goalkeeper, but I don't really care, because they've shared the role anyway, so just keep sharing the role. And in the summer, a decision will have to be made. So let the British press and the British biased media and ex-players, let them champion De Henderson. To be honest with you, I thought Henderson played well yesterday. We need him. He's doing well. He's a Man United player. I'm going to back him. I prefer De Gea, but not to the extent that I'm going to go in on Henderson, because I just think that's ridiculous. Like, they both play for Manchester United. I don't need to do this whole Pogba Bruno or Martial Rashford or Henderson De Gea thing. I think it's childish, and let the media that is biased carry on with that, because I thought Henderson played well yesterday. I'm not going to hype him up and give him 8 out of 10. That's bullshit. I'm going to give him a good 7, and we need him to perform on Thursday night. When David De Gea comes back, I think he will play in either the cup or the league, but they're pretty much the same thing at the moment, because we've got so many cup games. They're just going to share the role. Simple as that. Top 3 is a must. Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs and Arsenal are still in Europe, and could be a scenario where 4th isn't good enough, says Ben Anderson. Well, aren't we 11 points ahead of Liverpool now with the same games played? So I think top 4 is looking good for United at the moment, and I'm excited about it. Just a quick story again. It's the same journalist from The Athletic, Laurie Whitwell, talking about Erling Haaland and Solskjaer's desire to get Erling Haaland. I think this sort of a story on a morning after a Manchester derby win belongs in the bin. I think it's a total waste of time for anybody who's got a brain about Manchester United. Now, I'm not saying that United aren't looking at him, and I'm not saying that the journalist is brainless by any means. You know, he has contacts at the club, and maybe that's what's coming out to him. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, if that story is true, then it is a total and utter waste of time. We do not need to spend our transfer budget on a striker. If anybody watched that game yesterday and has got any clue about watching football, I'm not talking about tactical genius, I'm just talking about watching a game of football, very much saw first 15 minutes we pressed City high up the pitch, and we were creating chances, and then for half an hour after that people said we parked the bus. We didn't park the bus against them. We couldn't pass because Fred and McTominay, their passing for half an hour was absolutely atrocious. So how can you attack and press high up the pitch when you can't get out of your own half? McTominay and Fred were dreadful. So we need a CDM who can pass the ball. Otherwise, if Haaland's running around for 100 million, he's doing what happened yesterday. He's not getting much service. So, as I said, for me, Haaland is a fantastic player, but he's an icing on the cake. Make the cake first. And the cake is, the bottom layer is a top-class centre-back, the middle layer is a top-class CDM, and the top layer, because I'm going for 3 tiers here, is a right winger that creates chances. And then you put Haaland's icing on the top. And you know, I know it's a cake analogy, but it's actually true. If you just buy Haaland and that's all your budget is, Ollie's just squirting icing onto the table. There's no cake. So I think this Haaland story is such a dangerous story. I really do. And it It worries me that Manchester United or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer might actually be thinking this is the viable thing to do, this is the right thing to do, because it's not. It's not. That team needs the ingredients first. And to waste our budget on, well, it's not wasting your budget. Haaland's a top class player, of course he is. But if you know football, it's like Real Madrid, what they used to do in the early noughties, just buying all these Galacticos without building a team. And they didn't win as much as they thought they were going to win. I think they won a league title in the end with Zidane and Carlos and Beckham and Ronaldo, but not Cristiano. So yeah, we've got to build a bloody team, haven't we? Remember, Mark, Jose beat Pep Centurions in the season he came second. Let's not get this out of our heads, says Kay Parkinson. And Mark, Arteta was the bogeyman for Ollie, just as Ollie is the bogeyman for Pep. Zane, what's it like down in 10th, mate? Stop bringing Arsenal into the same conversation as Manchester United. You need to be talking about Brighton and Newcastle and Fulham and Scott Parker. That's what you need to talk about, not Manchester United. We're nothing like Arsenal. Although, what I would say about Arsenal is the previous chat before that is absolutely spot on. I don't think we need to do it today. I think we need to be happy today. I think we need to be positive today. I think we know if we can get the ball to our forwards, they're very good. And I think we know if we overprotect our back four, it can keep clean sheets. But what we also know is that our midfield is weak and it doesn't get the ball to our forwards enough. And it overprotects our defence. And that's where we need to work as well. But just because we beat Manchester City on Sunday doesn't mean we're going to beat West Ham next week. It doesn't, because we might put a Palace performance in. You never know. With Forrest Gump and his box of chocolates, we never know what we're going to get. And that's what we don't know with United. We still need to work on this consistency. So I'm very happy and I'm enjoying that. But just going back to that, I mean, talking about progress, what Man United will do is, and what the press will do is, they'll say Man United have got so many points more than we had last season. And I think we've got something like 11 points more than we had this time last season, which is improvement. And I said it at the start of the season, it's about points tally for me. If we can get 75 plus, that's brilliant for this year. 75 plus is brilliant. Our points tally last year was total and utter horseshit. 65 points. It's only 1 or 2 points worse than our worst ever Premier League total. So yeah, we got third and it was great, but it was a terrible season in relation to the Premier League in general. So we could finish second with 67 points this year, which would be a laugh. We've got to get over 75 points because last year was just... we should not be comparing our talent anything to last year. I think go back 2 years ago, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had 55 points, I think. And 3 years ago, Jose Mourinho had 56 points. So we're slightly worse off than 2 years ago and 3 years ago. But they're the seasons to try and beat the totals of, not last year. Last year was just a really weird, bad season. And to get top four was great, but it was only because everyone else was as bad or worse than us. This year, it feels like there is a bit of an improvement. I mean, look, Man City is still way better than everybody else, but there is a bit of improvement. Spurs have found some form. You know, you've got teams like Everton and West Ham having a go. Leicester, good win for them at the weekend. Chelsea have got some momentum. So I think this year is set to be a really good season. But the challenge for me would be, don't let that gap get bigger to Manchester City. What's the gap to Man City at the moment? Is it 10 points, something like that? That would be my aim. I would be saying that. I'd be like, I don't want that gap to City to get any bigger. I certainly don't want it to become 20 points because that would be a step backwards. So I'd be trying to keep that gap to Man City low and I'd be trying to get 75 points. That's what I'd be looking for from Ollie. But of course, we've got Europa League football coming up as well. We've got the FA Cup. We've hopefully got Paul Pogba coming back. Van der Beek. I mean, Cavani, just very quickly on Cavani. Ollie was asked about Cavani. It's another muscle injury. So, as I said, when we bought him, injury prone. Look at his last 18 months at PSG. Numerous muscle injuries. And already in, 4 or 5 months at United, he's had 3. I think United, maybe these Haaland stories are coming because of Cavani. Maybe they're looking at it and going, look, he's a really good player to have around, but you can't trust him. Is he not Eric Bailly up front? You know... If you could keep him fit, you'd start him every week. But at 34, 3 muscle injuries in 5 months, I think this is going to be the problem with Cavani. He's not played against Man City. He's missed both league games with injury, and he missed obviously the Carabao Cup game was I think it was a suspension, or it might have been an injury as well. But I think it was a suspension actually, wasn't it? But yeah, I do like Cavani. I don't think we missed him yesterday. I thought Martial was fantastic, but we're trying to build something. You can't build something when you never know. I mean, and the worrying thing with Cavani is he's back and then he's not back. So those sort of players are the worst players to have in your squad. Not because of quality, but you just don't know. Like, we didn't know Cavani. We all assumed Cavani was fine, and then the night before the game he's out. Oh, it's another muscle injury. So those sort of players they're not really a player that you can build something around, because you never know when they're dropping out with an injury. So look, I assumed Cavani would be kept for another year, but maybe not. Maybe that's not going to happen. If Ollie goes on a run from now and he has a chance to stop City winning the quadruple or Europa League, your thoughts, says Ronit. Well, look, Ronit, I mean, I'm worried about Manchester City winning the treble, because I think it's a disgrace if they win the treble. Not because they're an oil pipe club or anything like that. I just think Manchester United achieved the treble in '99, and I lived that. And God, you know, the FA Cup semi-final, Arsenal have got one kick to win it. Schmeichel saves it. We go to extra time. We're down to 10 men. Roy Keane's already been sent off. Giggsy's goal. We knock Arsenal out. We win the FA Cup. Stoppage time, Champions League final. Solskjaer has won it. You know, last game of the season, we still needed to beat Spurs, or Arsenal could have won the league. We battled for that treble all the way. Our run in the Champions League, the teams we had in the group stage, the run to the final, it was a bloody battle. And all those away games we played in the cup and the league, there's a vast majority of the fans are fans of that home team, and they don't want you to win. So that treble for Manchester United is iconic, and it's the best achievement in British football, because we were up against tough teams to do it. That Bayern Munich side was superb. The Arsenal side was superb. The fans, away grounds. Man City are, to me, I watched Man City yesterday and I said it, they're a very good team with a very good squad. But to me, I think a lot of Man City's ability since Christmas has been that teams have got really tired and they haven't got squads. Man City have got an amazing squad. And also, who wins a treble with no fans in the ground? I mean, how could that even be a thing? How could you say we're as good as the 99 side because we've won a treble, but you did it by not playing in front of any crowds away from home? It's a huge advantage. So I just hope they don't win a treble. And I'm more hopeful now, having beaten them once, that we're still in the FA Cup. We've got to try and win the FA Cup, because then they can't win a treble. So they might win the Champions League. They're going to win the league. And the quad, I mean, screw your Carabao Cup. At the end of the day, if you count that as a treble, you're sad. But we can't stop them winning the Carabao Cup. That's down to Spurs to do it. But we can stop them winning the FA Cup. And that, to me, would be something that we've got to be really focused on. So I'm really hopeful that we can do something in the FA Cup and take it very seriously. I mean, to be honest with you, if I'm absolutely honest, winning the FA Cup would be nice, but winning the FA Cup and knowing it stops Man City win a treble is even more. And I hope the players and Ollie feel like that, because that's huge. We've got to do our part in stopping this Man City side winning the treble. We can't stop them winning the Champions League. We can't stop them winning the league. So it's really, really important. Koundé, there's a story about Koundé this morning via Sport Witness that United are admirers of Koundé. Well, let's keep admiring him and let's go and buy him. And what else did I want to talk to you about? Spoke about that. We've got to, I mean, Ollie said it himself. We've got to improve, got to close the gap on City. Exactly. And interesting what Harry Maguire said as well. He said, we've got brilliant coaches and brilliant analysts. I totally understand what Harry Maguire's saying there, but to me, this is about not going too far, not taking it too far. We haven't got brilliant coaches and we haven't got brilliant analysts, because if we had brilliant coaches, we wouldn't struggle and look so poor against teams like Crystal Palace and Sheffield United and West Brom. We've got to improve. We've got good coaches. We've got good analysts. Manchester City have got brilliant coaches and brilliant analysts. And the only way you become brilliant is by being consistent. So I just think everyone's hyped, and I get that, and everyone's positive, and I get that, and I feel that as well. But let's not go over top, because this is where we fall again. This is where we fall over. We start believing our own hype. We think we're nearly there. We think we're brilliant. And the cold, harsh fact for me is that I didn't expect us to lose to Manchester City because I know we can get a result against them. We've seen it year after year. But I also know that we could lose to West Ham next week very easily if we're not careful. So we need to keep the work. You've almost got to work harder this week for the West Ham game than you did for the Man City game. Because I've got no doubt we put a load of work into that Man City game. A load of effort, a lot of focus, bounce back ability. There's no doubt we put so much work into that result and you could see it. We've got to do it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And I think the only way you do that, and one of the things we've not spoken about, Manchester City, if Raheem Sterling has a half decent game and Pep's like, yeah, I'm not happy with that. On you go, Bernardo Silva or Foden. Mahrez, same thing. Up front, centre-backs, John Stones, you weren't up to it. Laporte comes in. Have Man United got that? If Marcus Rashford has a bad... Well, we've seen it. If Rashford has a bad game, is he out the team next game? No. If Harry Maguire has a bad game, is he out the team? No. If Fred has a bad game at the moment, is he out the team? No. And that's a big difference as well. That is a really big difference when it comes to consistency, because Manchester City, if any of their star players has a bad game, you're not playing. I'm putting someone else in. If any of our star players has a bad game, you're playing next week. That's a huge thing. That's a huge thing about why you can beat Man City but not beat Palace. That's a huge thing about why you can beat Man City but you might not beat West Ham next week. Complacency. Consistency and complacency go hand in hand, and we need better players so that our best players know if they put a bad performance in, they can get dropped. But that's the next level. Ollie can't do that at the moment. He can't say, Rashford, you had a bad game. On you go, Dan James. Well, Dan James is already playing at the moment, but we don't have that depth, and that's not on Ollie, that's on the board. So if the board want to know the big difference between Man City and Man United, there's numerous, but that's another reason as well. That Arsenal side we'll never see again. London Galacticos, says Zane. Do they not do anything on AFTV to take Zane away in the morning? That's why we need Nagelsmann. Well, Nagelsmann won't bring squad players with him and depth. You simply have to strengthen this summer because Liverpool, City, Chelsea and Everton are going to be a threat next season. Congratulations on $1 million, well deserved, says Skippy FC. Yeah, I said it before the game. I said it after the game. I'll say it again this morning. If this team is going to stop being the Harrods Arsenal, because Arsenal are in mid-table, but a team that has to celebrate Man City but then will lose to someone shit, then if that's going to stop, you've got to give the manager better players. He's got to have a squad. He's never going to have a squad. No one's ever going to have a squad like Pep, but he's got to have a squad better than what he's got, definitely. We need better options. We need to be able to take people off. I mean, if Rashford is injured, that's a massive blow for us, isn't it? If Rashford's injured, what are we going to do next week? We're going to have to put Martial on the left again and hope that Cavani's fit. So, Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe, bottom right hand corner. I hope you all have a good day. You should have a good day. Put a smile on your face. It's a positive day. And we've got some good games to look forward to for now. And hopefully, above everything else, the board is actually putting things in place to play their part this summer and add to things like yesterday so that can become more consistent. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching.